The RE5 Remake is going to be huge, and I couldn't be any more excited.
Huh?
Today, I want to talk about the anticipated RE5 Remake, including a potential release date, official news from Capcom themselves, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Sit back, relax. Remember to stay hydrated and drink some water today. Drop a like if you are excited for the next Resident Evil Remake, and let's dive straight into this. Also, for those who don't know yet, I now have a Twitch channel where I stream random games. I'll be sure to drop the link in the description. So really, when it comes to the RE5 Remake, there are two sides, well, really three sides to this. There's people who want an RE5 Remake. There's people who, well, you know, don't want an RE5 Remake. And then there are the developers, the people at the end of the day who are the ones that pull the trigger. So IGN just wrote this article a few days ago, and IGN actually got a chance to interview the director of the RE4 Remake. Alright, so the article says, after the success of the Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes, Capcom has confirmed plans to continue the trend, although stopped short of announcing which Resident Evil game is next in line for the remake treatment. Basically saying we don't know exactly what the next remake is going to be. But it says right here that when IGN asked Capcom if they wanted to keep making Resident Evil remakes, the RE4 Remake director straight up just said yes. But that's not the crazy part. I mean, come on, let's be real. We all knew that more remakes are coming. Now, this concerns me because going back to the RE5 Remake, I do believe that that will be the next remake. But when it comes to RE5, we have to take a step back and look at the RE4 Remake. If every single one of you, including myself, go back and replay that game right now, you will see that there are a lot of mechanics in that game that just clear as day set up an RE5 Remake. You have Wesker being a much bigger part in the story, including the Separate Ways DLC. I mean, Wesker finally gets out of his chair and actually makes an appearance. You have all of those end credit teases where Wesker's like looking at a giant computer screen and you can see the flower from RE5. Apparently, you can see Excella in the picture. I mean, there's so many hints that RE5 has a high chance of being the very next remake. And I think the biggest thing out of all of that is the co-op feature. See, the co-op mechanic in the RE4 Remake wasn't the best, but let's be real, it was pretty well executed. Hold up, Rapid Crafter, let me stop you right there. So while I was editing this video that you guys are watching, I just realized something big. Very recently, I posted this tweet on Twitter, and I basically asked people if there was anybody else that was expecting RE5 to be the next remake. And a lot of people in the comments were disagreeing with me. People were saying, no, I'm confident that Code Veronica will be next. But then a light bulb appeared above my head, and I just realized in Capcom's last Resident Evil multiplayer game, Resident Evil Reverse, they literally have Jill's RE5 outfit in that game, as well as Chris's RE5 outfit. So I'm just saying, I feel like this adds fuel to the fire that RE5 will be the next remake. I hope I'm wrong because Code Veronica deserves it, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised. But between Capcom setting up these new mechanics in the RE4 Remake that we've never seen before in any other Resident Evil game, and on top of that, story-wise, they set up Wesker to be the next big bad of the series. But then we run into this issue where a lot of people feel like Code Veronica should be the next remake, and not just because it deserves one over RE5, which I do agree, but think about the new Resident Evil fans who have no idea who Wesker is. They're playing through the RE4 Remake and they're like,
huh?
But more on that in a little bit. So the director then says, what game will we remake in the future is something that we would like to announce in the future, so please look forward to it. When it comes to most large AAA studios, they never just make one game at a time. They usually have multiple projects in development. And especially when it comes to Capcom, I mean, they have multiple Resident Evil games in development as well as their other series. But the point that I'm trying to prove is that there are multiple projects in development at Capcom. So when the director says here and says, oh yeah, we'll announce the next remake sometime in the future, I'm pretty sure their next remake is already in development. Please bear with me because I know a lot of you guys agree with me on this. I would much prefer a Code Veronica remake, and not just because I'm riding the hype train, but that game sincerely deserves a remake much more than RE5. Not only does RE5 hold up really well, RE5 has some of the best co-op mechanics I've ever seen in any action game. So let's talk about a potential official release date. Now, if you've seen my last video where I talked about some Resident Evil 9 rumors, there's a rumor floating around that Resident Evil 9 is releasing in 2025. So assuming that's the case, which I do actually believe it, then I don't think we're getting an RE5 remake at least until 2027. Think about it, right? Let's say Resident Evil 9 does release in 2025. If that game sells really well, Capcom is no doubt gonna release DLC for RE9. And that DLC probably won't release until the next year, which would be 2026. And then they could reveal the RE5 remake in 2026 and then release it in 2027. Even though I wanted Code Veronica Remake next, just like everybody else, I am not against an RE5 remake. Sure, RE5 holds up really well, but I'm a Resident Evil fan. Of course I'm gonna play an RE5 remake. Are you serious? And depending how well Capcom executes this remake, and if they do make the co-op as fun as the original RE5, yeah, no doubt, RE5 Remake is gonna be huge. But that's everything that I have to say on the RE5 Remake so far. Be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed this topic, and I will catch you all in the next one.